Hey, greetings sports lovers. Coach Rob Hardstone here, host of the Unlikely Triathlete Podcast. Welcome to the show. I thought it's a good opportunity to start off my podcast with an introductory episode and explain a little bit about what it's all about and where it's come from, what my inspiration has been, where I am currently, and where I'm looking ahead in the future, where I'm looking to take you guys, and how we're going to live and work together and inspire each other, right? So you might think the unlikely triathlete. So where does that come from, and who the hell is Rob Hardstone to tell us what we can and can't or should and shouldn't do to find our way in the world of overcoming difficulties, right? So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a background to my life story, and I'll take you on a little bit of a journey there. There's a lot to talk about, and there's a lot to unpack, and it'll come out in the following episodes because there are going to be many of them to come with some amazing and incredible guests. Where do I start? Back in the early days, caveat first, I guess, I've never been one of those people who sat back and felt sorry for myself. So none of the stories I tell you come with a bit of boo-hoo content. I'm not a boo-hoo kind of guy. I know that's not everybody's got the ability to do that, but I almost find that those kind of moments almost define me or direct me down a new path. I just don't want to be outdone or left behind, and I hate getting it wrong. And if I get it wrong, I never want to get it wrong a second time. And sometimes it's a curse, sometimes it's a blessing. My close family and friends will tell you I'm horribly OCD, and they take every opportunity they can to take the piss out of me at every opportunity they get on my OCD. It's good humor, but I often think that that's got a large part to play in the person I've evolved and developed into, because I like things to be right, There's no sob stories or sad stories. I had a tough life, poor me. I was born in 1969, summer of 69 in Durban, South Africa, right here on the beachfront. Great year to be born. At that stage, I was the third. I got two sisters older, one younger. I guess it started getting a bit tough shortly after that. Mum was 23, divorced with 4 kids. Through circumstances, was forced to leave school at an early age, 16, to take care of her younger brother and parents who were ill at the time. They were originally from Rhodesia. So we were born into a pretty tough circumstance to start with. Mum had a little bachelor flat on the beachfront. She had to employ someone to look after these 4 horrible rats while she went out and worked 2 very simple basic day jobs to keep us going. So it was tough beginnings. Grew up without a father for those first few years, and then luck kind of changed. Mum met an amazing guy who I came to call Dad, and he raised us and treated us better than I would say most natural biological fathers have. And I'm absolutely, truly blessed, our family, to have had him. He married my mother, adopted the 4 of us kids. We took his name, and life changed from there. It was never easy. He was a quantity surveyor starting out, opened up his own practice. People who are involved in life coaching, who look back upon stories about where people come from, what their hang-ups are in life, what their issues are, why they struggle to get ahead in life. There's often something way back in your life, and it can be something as simple as, I was told once, not getting the bottle when you needed it at 7 months because you were on a train with your mum or something. Those little things influence our minds, and they influence the way we think, and they influence the way we approach things. So anyway, we jump forward a few years, raised up in the country on the Highveld in South Africa, in a very conservative Afrikaans part of the country, in apartheid South Africa, which is quite a different place back then. And we were an English-speaking family from Durban. We moved to a part of the world where very few people spoke English. And really just being English and in that part of the world saw us being ostracized. We were out there because that's where the work was for Dad. And it was quite tough, really. As a young kid, I was always a skinny little guy. And going to these Afrikaans schools and towns, and I love the Afrikaners, man. They it's in my blood, right? But all those guys, you can imagine those Springbok front row boys that I grew up with, I was absolutely a target. So it was tough. It was tough going to Afrikaans boarding schools. But I believe that was probably a very large part of my life that shaped me and created the kind of mental game. I struggled a lot with bullying and never being good enough, never being big enough, never making the rugby team because all those boys half my age were twice my size and all that kind of stuff. But I just kept going, My mum was really good at keeping us going like that. Fast forward a few years, finished school, and of course we all got conscripted into the military back in the day. And I was dragged into the military, and I got to be honest, years later, in hindsight, my dad said to me that he was very, very worried about me going off to the military. They were very concerned that it was something I wouldn't be able to cope with. they were very concerned that I would be one of those statistics, that would end up on the wrong side. Mental health, depression, maybe, self-harm, take your own life, that type of thing. And they were genuinely concerned about that. But I think those couple of tough years at boarding school really served me well getting into the army. I ended up in Bloemfontein, which is absolutely the worst place a little Englishman could end up. And there were some instances there that'll come up in episodes later on. But I think they were defining moments for me where I'd had enough, I'd been trodden on enough, and something, to this day, I don't know what it was, sparked something in me just to turn and change and stand up to the guys. And I realized that I had created this world around me that was tough. I had created this idea that it was hard and that I couldn't make it against these guys. And just those few little wins just started growing in confidence. And I realized the skinny little guy that I was at the time, all of 67 kilos, I think it was, actually was good at something. And I was good at the endurance stuff. And I was watching big, hard, tough men falling by the wayside and realizing, hey, horses for courses, man. And everybody's got that little something and you just need that spark. That, I think, was a defining moment in a time for me. Then when I left the army, I had gone into the army having received a bursary to study architecture of all things. After 2 years in the military, it had completely changed my life, completely changed my mind. The last thing I wanted to do was go to uni and study architecture. And that sent me down a road for a handful of years of just restlessness, no idea where I wanted to go, trying to find my love, my passion, my niche. And I was in and out of all kinds of jobs, from debt collection agencies to living and working in Zambia for a couple of years, doing kayaking safaris down the Zambezi River. We farmed. My wife and I owned a guest farm and we ran a guest lodge from there. There's a long list of weird jobs I got involved in. And then I found commercial diving. And that was pretty much my bread and butter for the last 30 years. I got into commercial diving, absolutely loved it, loved the adventure, loved the danger. A lot of these programs on TV will tell you it's one of the most dangerous jobs in the world. Now, I'm not one of those guys who goes out there and pounds my chest and says, hey, man, I'm one of those tough offshore deep sea divers, I just think that everybody's got their place in the world, and some of us are scared of heights, some of us are scared of the murky depths, and some of us are geared for it. So that fitted me well. I fitted in that box. I loved it. I've traveled all over the world. I've gone to the top end of diving, so I've done the commercial saturation diving. I've been in the murky depths. I've spent 42 days at depth in a chamber before. Lots of cool stories to tell there. Lots of challenges, lots of scary moments in my life there, living and working a lot of the time in West Africa, being shot at, having hostages taken and held, being ambushed by pirates, all those cool stories. And these are all things that I've been through and I've survived. And the reason I tell these stories is not because I'm the tough guy, hey, look at me, how hardcore I am. It's because I'm Joe fucking average, man. I was that little kid who got shunted around at school. I was that little kid or that young man who always doubted himself and then started finding that little crack of light at the end of the tunnel or through the wall and started following and just working away at that crack. And I find myself where I am today. I reached the top end of the offshore diving industry. I got out of the water, became a supervisor, and then I went into offshore management. So just to give you some sort of perspective of where that is, as a responsible person in that position, I found myself working as an offshore manager on a DSV, a dive support vessel, which is often worth in the region of $200 million. You may have a crew of anything from 80 to 140 people on board. The captain and his marine crew are the guys that drive and look after the ship. And all love and respect to them, but essentially they work for me as the offshore manager. And we have clients that we deal with, and it's offshore. We do all the subsea construction stuff. So a lot of pressure. I've worked in foreign countries where I've had to sit down and have meetings with dignitaries from other countries or ministry members from the ministry, explain to them how we're not going to destroy the environment and kill their commercial workers, and what our policies and things are to take care of them, and how we're going to be efficient and productive and cost effective for them at the end of the day. So dealing with people at that level comes with a certain pressure, and at the same time I'm responsible for all those lives and I'm responsible for productivity. You shut down an oil platform for a day to do maintenance work, and you run into problems and it becomes a week. Someone's paying a lot of money, so that kind of pressure's there. So thrived on the problem solving, thrived on that kind of world, but got to a point where it just wasn't working for me anymore, right? And I guess it's the challenge that wore out for me. And the reason I tell that story is because it ties into where I am now with my coaching and my triathlon and my endurance endeavors. Now, the endurance thing came from the military days. I found I was really good with that, and it's stuck with me ever since then. So from that young man of 18, 19, 20 years old, as a crew commander working in the military as a crew commander in a fighting squadron at one special service battalion, that stayed with me. And that endurance thing is something I always stuck with. Now, when I got offshore and became a diver, it was really, really difficult to keep up with your training there, for example, because you don't have the facilities, you're in a tin can, it's a physical job. When I got into the management side of things, I started finding more time to be able to train offshore. This is what kind of started planting that seed in me that I've got this passion for sport. I've got this passion for endurance. I started doing triathlon endurance ones, the long ones, in 2017. Before that, it had been sprint triathlons and that type of thing. Again, I didn't know what I was getting into. And I realized that it involves a lot more than just picking a race and doing a couple of training sessions a week. And so I went and I learned how to become a coach. And once I'd learned to be a coach, did the courses, qualified, people started asking questions and I started helping and they started getting results. And people kept saying, hey man, you're good at this shit. You should go and talk to people and you should go train people. And in looking for an out of the offshore industry, which was lucrative, it looked after me really well. I found myself scratching and looking for something else. I decided to go down this scary road for me at the time of coaching, and I took on a few people. I've now gone into it full time. But I feel I have all that knowledge. And this is where, from the beginning of this episode, I said, I've got to kind of justify who the hell is Rob Hardstone, right? I believe I've got a life story to tell, guys. And it's not all about sport, and it's not all about getting across a finish line in an Ironman race or a 70.3 or, for argument's sake, a 5K park run. Remember this, one man's Ironman race is another man's 5K park run. It's all relative, right? We've all got a challenge. And my challenge could be small to you or big to the next guy. It's all relative, but it's making that start. And I believe I found the tools within me and around me to be able to overcome those obstacles that we so often put in our way ourselves, you know. We create those obstacles. And I think my life experience from my military career to my wandering the globe, wondering what I'm going to do with my life, what kind of job I'm going to take on, to my very challenging offshore career, which saw me in a number of times over the year that really by rights shouldn't see me sitting here today. And I don't say that again in a hardcore tough guy sense. It's in a survival sense. And what are those tools that got me through that? There's always a bit of luck involved, but there's mindset involved. And I've come to realize that even little old me had it somewhere deep within me to find what I needed when the moment called for it. And so my passion and my love with this whole new endeavor of mine is to get a hold of you people out there, you doubters. And just because you're the CEO of a big company or a founder or whatever you may be, doesn't mean that you're equipped to do all this. I have got lessons to give you, and there are things that you have not yet learned about yourself that I feel I've got to teach. And I feel as part of our human population, as part of this planet, I have a responsibility to give people what I've learned, to help people, because as long as we're helping people, the world's becoming a better place. We all sit back and go, oh, what can I do? It's just little old me. But if every single one of us picks up a little something and starts walking with it, we're going to influence more people and they're going to influence more people. And I believe I know how to get you guys from your doubt, whether it's a couch or a boardroom, across a finish line. I know I can do it. I have no doubt that I can get you there because I know that every human being has got it within them. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to find you guys that have overcome the most amazing things against all odds and achieved, whether it's an Ironman race or opening a business or reading your first ever book, whatever that is. Those massive achievements with those most unlikely people is what I'm going to bring to you guys on the show. It's going to be awesome. It's going to inspire you and it's going to take you to new heights. Having said all that, this is where I am with the coaching now. That's my love and that's my passion. I'm going to build that into the podcast, and that podcast, this podcast is going to inspire people. We're looking primarily at you guys at the top end who the niche is for the guys who don't know that they can do it because they don't have time. I'm an executive of a big company. You know, I've got 10,000 people working under me. I've got no time to go and do a triathlon or do that research. I'm the guy to get you there. So that's kind of the road I'm going down, and I'm going to inspire you with my stories. This show, it's early days for me. It's all new for me. It's really exciting. I have every faith in myself. I have no doubt that I can go where I need to go, but I need you guys to come along with it. So I really hope I can do enough to inspire you. In fact, I know I'm going to do enough to inspire you. You're going to follow along. You're going to do all that like stuff and all that share stuff that you're supposed to do with the social media and shit. We're definitely going to follow, and you're going to subscribe to this channel, man, because every episode is going to be an inspiration. I'm going to bring people to you that will just change your lives around, and it'll change the way you do things. So like, share, subscribe, all that cool stuff. I really look forward to seeing you guys again on the next episode. Never stop moving, man.